Hey, what's up, card fighters? BOTCG here, and yes, sir, we finally reached that 1,000 subscribers at 1K, baby. This is a little bit of an unofficial thank you to everyone that supported me and subscribed along the way. There's a lot of times that I wanted to quit and give up and stop posting in general. I know there, at least like the last month or so, I haven't been posting like I wanted to, but you know, come Divine Z, we're coming with some changes, bro. So yeah. There will be an official, I guess, Q&A video, or maybe a post about questions, and then turn it into a Q&A video, and then we're going to reveal the winners in the Q&A video, something like that. I haven't worked out the logistics quite yet, but that is in the works, guys. But let's get into the profile for now. So I went to Versus Locals on Monday, and I believe I got third place to this list. I went to X1. I beat out Luard. I think it was only 3 rounds. I know one round I think I got a bye. Next round I beat out Luard. I think it was 3 rounds. And the last round I fought against Varga, which I didn't know the Varga matchup with this deck, so I was like learning on the fly. But yeah, I went X2 there, X1 there. And then at House Rules Gaming Locals, I went undefeated there. Man, round 1, I don't remember at this time. Wait, let me go. Wait. Unprofessionally, I'm checking my last post. Alright, round 1 was against Orphis Mask, I 2-0'd it. Round 2 was Omnia Mask, I 2-0'd that as well, but it was cutting it a little close. Round 3 was Luard. We went 1-1 into a tie, but we were using the Bushiroad system, so ties counted as double loss. So me and my opponent, like a good friend of mine, shouts to David, we just decided to roll for it. I won the die roll, so I won that match. I could have won the... Oh, so it was just 3... Yeah, it was just 3 rounds for both locals. I could have won if I had saved the perfect guard for last turn, I believe. But, you know, hindsight's, of course, 2020. But... getting into the deck profile, I am going to profile this deck a little bit different than I normally do. I'm going to go for my Blitz orders and normal orders first, and then I'm going to go into the VELENO engine of the deck, non-engine, and then I'm going to go into triggers. The VELENO ride line, there's really not LASCARIA. VELENO is the archetype, but LASCARIA is the main chick that you need on your Vanguard. There's not much to talk about here. The grade 1 being able to grab any grade 2 or greater Blitz order is really nice. It can't grab the Regalis piece, but that's okay. The grade 2 riding on the grade 3 is also very nice because it's able to grab you your engine pieces outside of just grabbing Blitz orders, but this one is top 5. It can grab any Blitz order or engine piece. But going on to the Blitz orders, 4 copies of Dreamblade. This is the whole deck. Usually I like to go first with this deck, even though this deck can also have a really good going second game. Like, I believe if I went second against the Varga player at Versus Locals, I would have had a better time of beating them. It was really close. It was just like the extra restand usually got them enough cards that they were able to win the game off of the Divine skill. But 4 copies of Dreamblade, this is the whole deck. This is what lets you play an additional Blitz order after you've activated this. Little ruling info, if you activate a Dreamblade and then activate another Dreamblade, yes, you can keep playing, you can play an additional Blitz order, because each time you resolve a Dreamblade, it stacks and allows you to play an additional Blitz. So yeah, technically you can play 5 Blitz orders in a turn with 4 Dreamblades. Just an FYI, but that does require like 8 energy. But yeah, for the rest of the Blitz orders I'm playing 1 Evergreen Transfer. This it is searchable off of my top 5 searches from my ride line and one of my grade 1 VELENO units. So it is technically a searchable regardless piece. This is really good. It's literally what saved my bacon against the first time I fought against Luard. The way that this deck just like handedly tanks Luard, I love it, man. I love the way it's like, it felt so good being able to just tank Luard's guard restrict turns, because like your best guard is your Blitz orders. But I was able to survive because they did hit the OT. I did have the Elementaria. I was saving it for next turn, so I guarded with this, and like if they hit the OT, I don't die. Which they did hit the OT. I didn't die. I just took 2 damage because it does minus their crit by 1. So instead of 3 damage, which I would have taken to lose, I just took the 2 damage. 1 Sweet Honey Garden. This is another one of like your really giant Blitz Order Guardians. Generally, this is what you do. You do Dream Blade into Sweet Honey Garden, or Dream Blade into Evergreen Transfer. What I normally do, and the only reason why I do this is just because I want to be able to resolve LASCARIA's second skill of if the attack didn't hit that I guarded with a Blitz Order, I get to draw a card. I will use these early. I don't care if I'm over guarding, because technically the guard is free, because I'm guarding with my Dream Blade. I get to draw a card. So that's usually how I play this deck. I will guard early with the deck if I know it's like rear guard swings in the early, or just if it's a swing I know I can complete guard, no problem. 1 Elementaria Sanctitude. This is also searchable off of your top 5 searches, which is really nice. And that's all the Blitz Orders I'm running. I was running 8. I believe I was running a Ghost Chase at Versus. It felt so bad. Like, this is the definition of power creep in order to make a certain card type good. In order to make Blitz Orders good, they've had to made them perfect guards. They've had to make them have 25k shield, 20k shield, the ability to be able to play them more than once in a turn. This is the definition of power creep. But yeah, Ghost Chase just doesn't cut it right now in this format. Generally, when I guard for Blitz Order, I want that to be my only guard, and essentially like it becomes to where I guard for a card and then I get to draw an extra card, which usually I'm trying to draw into Persona Rides, because I usually have trouble seeing Persona Rides after I've like hard searched the first one. But that's generally Persona Rides are perfect cards. This is generally what I'm searching for when I try to resolve the draw for LASCARIA on my opponent's turn. Going off into our normal orders, this is like real, so broken in this deck. Not broken, but it's really good in this deck. Overcoming a Natural Death. This lets you pick up any 2 orders in your drop zone when you play it. So usually I use this to buy back my my Blitz that I've discarded early, because sometimes you do want to discard Blitz early to resolve certain effects. Or it lets me reuse one of my 2 other normal orders that I play in the deck. I play 1 Spiritual Body Condensation. The only reason that I'm playing Spiritual Body Condensation, I know it's a Soul Blast, but Soul really isn't too big of an issue in this deck. The only thing that Soul Blast is... there are a few cards that Soul Blast in this deck, but you can just kind of manage your soul depending on what you're doing. The only reason I play this over any other Revive card, I wanted this. I wanted my normal orders to be, like, basically not value orders, but I wanted them to be useful in different scenarios. Like this is very useful in the Varga matchup because they can just clear your board every time, so it just helps me rebuild. Essentially, the only reason I'm playing this is because it is a monster reborn that gives the unit that you reborned +5. Those are really the only reason why we are playing this. I haven't felt like I've needed the Nectar card or In Search of a Faraway Ideal. I know people say that they're having trouble closing out, or they feel like LASCARIA has trouble closing out games. Generally, what I felt is the best way for you to close out games if you're the LASCARIA player is you want, if possible, resolve Persona Ride and then have 2 of the grade 3 re-standard. Generally, that's what I use if I'm trying to either like push most of the cards out of my opponent's hand or push for game. Of course, you're not going to have those every time, but if I'm just trying to like tempo my opponent and like procure advantage, I'm not going to commit 2 re-standards. I'm just going to commit the 1. And my last card is Tearful Malice. I'm playing Tearful Malice for the matchups that aren't Varga, for matchups that don't touch your board, like the Luard matchup or the Raziel matchup, and your board just kind of naturally gets clogged with like you have like a lot of on place effects, so your board just kind of gets a little bit clogged with like kind of do nothing units. So this is a good way to clear it, and it also feeds soul since you are a little bit soul heavy, but it is quite manageable. It's a counter charge, but It's like it's weird. Either you use most of your counterblast or like very little of your counterblast in this deck. But yeah, I wanted the normal orders that I did play to be very resource intensive normal orders, to where they're getting me something. I'm not just using it to try and push, because if I'm using it to try and push, then it kind of like, it just becomes a neg and like really bad if I'm not able to like close out the game or take most of my opponent's hand in that scenario, at least in my personal opinion. Going on to the main engine of the deck, this card right here is literally the this is the bread and butter of the deck. This card right here. This is 4 copies of Leno Familia Fiora. When I say Fiora is the whole deck, Fiora is the whole deck. Not only is she all you need is a LASCARIA Vanguard. If you during your turn, if you have a LASCARIA Vanguard, she gets plus 2k, so she's a 10k beater or a 10k booster, no matter what grade you're on. And then she has an on-play stat. If you have a LASCARIA Vanguard, you can top 5 for a Leno unit or a Blitz order and add it to your hand. This card is so good. Like there's certain situations where I use Spiritual Body or I use Tearful Malice to clear the board so I can resolve additional Fioras. Like Fiora is legitimately, in my opinion, the best card in the deck outside of the Blitz orders. Like this is just like a very good card in the deck. And then another really good supplemental card in the deck is 4 copy. You're running all the Leno cards at 4. You just kind of have to. The deck wants you to be, like Fiora for example, the deck wants you to be quite xenophobic, but you don't have that many Leno units right now, unfortunately, so you can't really pick and choose. So you're kind of forced right now to play all of them at 4. But come set 2, I believe we're getting at least 1 new Leno unit. But 4 copies of Leno Familia. Medial lets you either grab another Leno unit from drop. Usually when I have her in my hand, I Texas Holder and discard like my Restander or discard most of the time I won't have Fioras in the drop. I'll have them on board, so like Tearful Malice is a good way to clear it, and then call Medial to get back the Fiora. But she lets you add any Blitz order from drop to your hand for a discard, or resurrect any Leno unit from the drop zone, I believe, with a different card name from this unit for a discard as well. So this is just really good. Max out at 4. This is basically like it's not from hand, so you can also if you're against a deck that is going to generally retire your stuff, you can Spiritual Body into another Leno unit, which is also really good. And then our last Leno unit is 4 copies of Leno Caborgimi Efurgus. I don't know. Efurgus. 4 copies of Efurgus, and then I drop Persona Ride. 4 copies of Efurgus. I really like. The only condition you have for the restand is that you need what's it called? The only condition for the restand is your opponent has to be grade 3, and then the condition for the plus 5k on restand is you have to have 3 or more Leno units. But yeah, really good. Like I said, I was learning the Varga matchup at the time, so most likely in the future, if I'm up against Varga, if I can help it, I'll probably go second, and that'll just give me the extra push I need to be able to beat them. But more often than not, I prefer to go first with this deck, even though I won't get the restand off Efurgus off immediately when I go first. My preference for going first is it lets me to immediately be shields up with my Blitz orders, because I prefer, unless I have to, which there are there was a few situations in the tournaments where I was forced to burn a Blitz order in the early game before I reach grade 3, but unless I'm not forced to, I Texas hold all my Blitz orders until I'm at grade 3, just so I can get my full value out of them. Because if you're using your Blitz order before grade 3, you're not going to be able to draw, obviously, so they just actually become negs instead of essentially 1-for-1 shields. And then our last Leno unit is 3 copies of the Persona Ride LASCARIA. This deck really does, you still can make really good numbers outside of Persona Ride. Like you can make 33 and 38 very hap-handedly, or 30 very easily, but you really do want to scale with Persona Ride. Like, Persona Ride on your restand turns is that's your ideal. That's your ideal right there. You want to have at least one Ephratus, Persona Ride, and you're going to be able to just pressure your opponent. Getting onto the non-engine cards of the deck, these are cards that were released in set 11 that just work really well with Leno naturally, because they do revolve around set 11 was the Blitz order set. 4 copies of Morpho. Morpho essentially allows you to tutor any lets you tutor any of your Blitz orders from deck that aren't the PG or the Regalis piece. Just for a counterblast, and there are no restrictions. It's literally after the battle she attacked a Vanguard, CB1, bind her, and search your deck. If you already have a Blitz order in drop zone, you can instead search your deck for a grade 2 or greater normal order. I do understand she can't search for my my grade 1 normal orders. That's fine. Usually if I'm searching for this, then I already know that I'm either going to clog my board, or I know my opponent is going to attempt to choke me. Or like I'll grab this if I know I'm in a matchup to where my opponent's not they're not gonna touch my board in any way. I could usually grab that for value. And then she's a 20k beater if there's a Blitz order in the drop zone. Generally, I only really utilize her in the early game, or in games towards like Varga, for example, that my units are getting blown up. Then I have no choice but to use her. But those are that usually you want to keep your board just Leno units, so you can get the complete scale out of your Vanguard's ability. 2 copies of Bird Stinger. The reason that we're running Bird Stinger, I was originally running him at 4 in my list, in my first variation of the list, but we're running it because it can get Sweet Honeycomb from the drop zone, towards Morpho can't get it from the drop. Midio can get Blitz orders from the drop zone, but it is for a discard. So this is just a free way to be able to add a Blitz order to your hand. Just for a counterblast. It's not really free, but you know, counterblast is kind of free in this deck. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And then our last quote-unquote non-engine card is 3 DPGs on top of the 1 Blitz PG Elementaria. But getting onto the triggers of this deck, we're playing 1 of the Stoicheia over trigger. One thing I do want to say about this deck is because it is just naturally already quite defensive, you can consider the trigger lineup to be quite aggressive in contrast, even though we are running fronts. But 1 of the Stoicheia over trigger, it's an Omni trigger. It works really well in this deck in the way that its attack patterns work. Usually you'll always get the full value out of this unless your opponent is at higher damage than you. But yeah, very good in the nation over trigger that we can just utilize to the best of our ability. 3 effect fronts. Again, you can consider this to be very offensive. You really don't mind drawing them, but generally, like, checking fronts in this deck is very good. It usually can scale your numbers like over the threshold, especially in the early game. Like, you can hit really good numbers like on turn 2, and hitting fronts on top of your already really good numbers can just like push you over that threshold. 4 normal heals. You can run the effect heals if you really want to. Funny enough, technically this deck does get hit by the restand heal and the crit heal, because LASCARIA can give herself a crit, and Ephratus does restand. I have been technically hit by both heals, but funny enough, I was able to play around the crit heal, not on purpose, but not because I couldn't get 5 Leno units on board. So I'm like, at least I got the 5k. But it was very interesting in that retrospect. But I just preferred the normal heals. They're all around good. I've never lost a game because, like, damn, like, I wish there was an effect heal. But yeah, that's my personal reasoning on it. 8 vanilla crits. You can run the into soul crit. I haven't felt like I've needed it, even though this deck can be quite soul intensive at times. Like I said, it's actually quite easy to manage. This deck is way better than I thought it was. I'm still toying around with like the orders. Like I'm thinking about playing this one order that's a grade 2 or grade 3 order, just so it's searchable off of Morpho. I definitely still want to play the grade 1 overcoming order. But I don't know, man. This deck was way better than I initially thought it was. I'm sorry this is a little bit longer profile than our normal profiles, but I just have a lot to say on this strategy. Like, this strategy, man, this strategy came out clean, man. And, like, the fact that this is the first insect archetype in the ND and it's actually functioning is amazing to me. Like, I thought this deck was booty butt cheeks, and then I started playing it, and then I'm just like, you just never die. You just never die. And, you know, you do have to, like, it's a little bit not very complex, but it's more of just like you have to see the lines in order for you to win. It is very tanky, but if you're focused solely on defense, then eventually, like, either your opponent's gonna outgrind you, or you're gonna get hit with that time, which I was hit with time like twice playing this deck. But generally speaking, if you are playing it with aggression in mind on top of your natural defense, you should be able to beat it out before time gets called. But yeah, guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We already reached that 1K, so you know we're going to have that Q&A video set up soon. I'm probably going to turn it into a community post first. And then at the end of the Q&A video, we're going to call out some names from a random generator. I'm thinking I'm going to at least do 10 people. I might do more, but I'm not sure yet for the Play My giveaway. Anyways, guys, y'all have a great night. Bye.